We're talking about the future of virtual and hybrid communication in the corporate world. Stick around. Tyler Hampton. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Tommy. Thanks for having me on the inaugural episode.
You're very welcome, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here. I wish I was sitting there in the studio with you, but, duty calls.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, your title, where you are, where you've been, and just give me a brief overview of yourself.
Sure. Tyler Hampton. I am the communications partner for the USA and Canada and our global brands at Brown-Forman, which is a 150-plus-year-old spirit supplier based in Louisville, Kentucky. You know us for our brands, Jack Daniel's, Woodford Reserve, Old Forester, among many others. Those are our super premium American whiskeys, but we have a whole host of leading premium spirits brands in all the categories: rum, gin, you name it, we're there. So I've been with the company for the last year and a half. I'm a Louisville native, so getting into the bourbon industry has been a dream come true, and couldn't have found a better place with Brown-Forman to do just that.
And you have a pretty extensive background in PR and communications. I mean, Yum Brands, waste management. Tell me a little bit about that too.
Yeah, I started my career at the kind of midway point of the 2008 financial crisis. So as a marketing and finance undergrad and an MBA, I graduated with all of those wonderful degrees and then started waiting tables for about 7 months, as one does. It's funny sitting here today. I miss those days. I enjoyed being in the service industry, and I think it really helps build a customer-focused mindset that you can then apply as you kind of find your career. So was able to parlay those degrees and my ability to sell, chain spicy chicken into a career in marketing and PR. And those aren't two things that just immediately go together, marketing and PR. They're very similar, but have some differences. And with that external focus on consumers and using the media to get your story out and really amplify and promote your brands, I then just kind of followed opportunities as they came out, kind of came to me. And that led me to more internal communications, which I've done in the last few years, both with waste management and now at Brown-Forman. So, you name the industry, communication doesn't change a ton between those, at least in terms of the tactics and approach. So a little bit different when you're thinking about something like waste management from a consumer perspective really plays in the minds of folks like a utility versus a consumer packaged good brand like Brown-Forman has, or, what we would call quick service restaurants for Yum Brands, KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and now they've got some other brands like Habit Burger Grill and things like that. So yeah, it's been an awesome career. Looking back on it, the last 15 years have been really fun. You got to work on some huge projects like the Waste Management Phoenix Open, launching Taco Bell Breakfast, and now launching Jack and Coke in a single can.
Yeah, I mean, tell me a little bit about how communication, corporate communication, internal communication, external communication has changed for you, for the industry, especially post-pandemic.
Yeah, it's I told people in the pandemic, I was at Waste Management at the time, that I've never felt more job security than I did at that time. I mean, it required a lot of hours, but it also required kind of an always-on mindset and approach, which isn't all that dissimilar when you're working a crisis or an issue on the PR side, right? So being in an internal role when that happened, I was able to take that approach and apply it to everything that was going on with the pandemic. But it also, I've heard this outside of the comms world, and that's that COVID really forced the hand of technology to kind of move up 3, 4, 5 years into the future with things like we're talking on right now in the Zoom call, or Microsoft Teams, or the Google Meet suite. So there's the tools were there, we just weren't using them right in this way. And then it became, okay, well, how are you going to use these to scale up your communications and make them remote and virtual and deliver a consistent experience and try to engage your employees in a time where you physically can't be in the same room with them? So I think we were sitting in a position, if you look back at 2019 to early 2020, where we just didn't have a real need for these tools, even though they had been developed. And then it quickly became, all right, now we've got a toolbox at our disposal. How are we going to deploy these things across all of the various channels that we have to engage our employees, to deliver our messages? And then also, in this job, it's about influencing your internal people to then, carry that message as they interface with consumers and customers and things like that. So you got to build the momentum and the energy and excitement. And we've got a whole host of tools to do that now. So it's really fun. I'd still say there's really no better time to be in communications than as we sit here in 2023.
Yeah. Well, how have you and Brown-Forman specifically leveled up or used the technology like we're doing right now to engage your associates, engage your employees, and also your customer base?
I came into the company and they had just done their first, year or so of large virtual town halls using a variety of different tools and platforms. Ultimately trying to find the right one, right? That was self-manageable and also engaging for the audiences through polls and quizzes and all those kinds of things. So they had started to do that before I got to the company. But we kind of, in the coming back to the office and that segment of the pandemic and kind of return to work, it was okay, we don't want to just have everybody be virtual. We need to have some level of a hybrid engagement and really try to build the production quality and value. So we started looking at a whole host of different options. Of course, that led us to Vidionix. You all being 10 minutes from us, just on the other side of the Ohio River, made it very convenient to get our executives from our corporate campus over to your studio. But what we found is a really quality partner in Vidionix, but then also just a fun space to play with. That you've got executives that aren't used to doing town halls in a production studio. They don't live that life every single day. So it's cool to get into that space, get them to be creative and comfortable. But that comes through on the receiving end for your audience in terms of the energy and the excitement. It can be infectious in that way. So I think we've seen a real uplift in moving out of the purely virtual world through Teams and Zoom and things like that, and kind of getting more into a hybrid mindset is what I would say, where at least the speakers are in together, right? And you can kind of feel their relationship come through as the outcome of what the audience is experiencing.
Mm-hmm. And as we have, we're exiting, pandemic mode, the pandemic's over officially. Where do you see communication heading down the road? I mean, we obviously have made this huge shift to this virtual hybrid work environment. Do you see it changing further? Where do you see the future headed as we look into 2023, 24, 25, and beyond?
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to come up with something like this, but I definitely am smart enough to use it and live with it. And that is that the only constant is change, right? So it will certainly change, and we've got to be ready and willing and agile to change with kind of the landscape as it evolves. What I think it will continue to be based on technology. So where does AI start to play into communications? We're already looking at tools like that. We have the Google suite at Brown-Forman. So Bard is the Google AI tool. They haven't fully integrated it for our suite of tools and systems yet. But obviously people are looking at all kinds of different AI tools. I've even used them just to get ideas down on paper to then start to write, whether it's a video script or social media post. Just kind of get the get the creative wheels turning. It's interesting because I think if I was still in college, it'd be a really hard source to give credit to in your bibliography at the very end of a paper. But now it's really, I use it as a way to just kind of get the creative juices going. So I think AI will play a big role as we start to think about the future of communications. I think social engagement through tools like Yammer and other social engagement tools will continue to be important, because as we look at things at Brown-Forman, and I think this is really just kind of how the corporate world functions now, is what's internal is external, what's external is internal. We're all consumers of content. So we used to have this dividing line of that's external, that's not internal. The reality is we all use social media. We all are consumers of products. So we're used to being marketed to, and that really moves people to either make a purchase or change something in their life. So we take that same mindset and apply it across all of the different technology that we have to talk to our people in the way that they want to be talked to, which is casual, informal conversation. So I think if I was to kind of put those into buckets, it would be technology is going to continue to change. Where does AI play in this space? And I think the continual informality of the corporate world and communications and how they play in that will be the main themes moving forward. Because people don't want to wear a suit and tie to work every day. They don't want to, when you've been sitting in your pajamas from the bottom down, talking on these Skype calls for the last 3 years, it's like, I don't want to go back to work and it be overly formal. So how do we pull that personality out of our executives and create a better experience using the technology, and then kind of where the sentiment and tone come in with that, I think will be the main themes of the next 5 to 10 years of corporate communications.
Tyler, you make my job easy. Thank you so much for your time today. It was an absolute pleasure. Tyler Hampton, communications partner at Brown-Forman. Tyler, thank you so much again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me, Tommy. It's only up from here with your interview list. So, you got to start somewhere, right?
I'm starting at the top, Tyler.
Have a good one.
Thanks, my man. Bye-bye.
You got it.